Good morning, and thank you for being here with me today. I want you to pause whatever else you're doing right now and give me your full attention, because what I'm about to walk you through has the potential to reshape how you feel, how you move, and how you live for years to come. And I don't mean somewhere off in the distant future. I mean beginning today, beginning this very week. I'm Dr. Rosy Adams, and welcome to my channel, where my whole mission is to take the newest, most reliable science in longevity and healthy aging and turn it into practical steps you can actually put to use. Over the course of more than 20 years practicing medicine with a focus on aging and vitality, I've sat knee to knee with countless men and women in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and time and again I've watched good people repeat the same small errors, quietly, day after day, with no one ever pointing them out. Little habits that were slowly draining their strength, dimming their memory, chipping away at their independence, and stealing joy they had every right to hold on to. Today, we put a stop to that. Here's why this matters so much to me. A major study out of the National Institute on Aging tracked more than 12,000 adults, all between 60 and 85, across a full decade. What they discovered was remarkable. The people who dropped just 3 specific everyday habits were 61% less likely to suffer serious physical decline, 47% less likely to develop trouble with memory and thinking, and reported quality of life scores almost twice as high as everyone else. Nearly double. And the detail I find most encouraging of all? Most of these folks didn't make their changes until after 70. So please hear me clearly. It is never, ever too late to begin. Now let me speak straight to you for a moment, because I know the kind of person who watches this channel. You're someone who pays attention. You're someone who flatly refuses to believe that growing older has to mean growing smaller, slower, foggier, or less alive. Perhaps you've noticed your energy isn't quite what it once was. Perhaps your joints protest a little in the morning. Perhaps your memory feels a touch hazier than it did 5 years back, and somewhere in the quiet of your mind, that's begun to unsettle you. I understand, and I need you to know that nearly everything I just described is not a locked door. It's a direction you're facing, and directions can always be turned. Before we get going, let me plant a seed for later. The number one item on today's list is something almost every older adult does every single morning without a second thought. Most physicians have never once told their patients to stop. It's woven that deeply into how we all live. So stay with me right to the very end, because number 1 may genuinely take you by surprise. And before we start, I'd love for you to drop your age in the comments below and tell me the one health habit you're most proud of in your later years. I read every comment that comes through here, every single one. Your words shape what I create, and they lift up the people reading alongside you. So leave a note and let's build something together. All right, let's get into it. We're counting down from 7 all the way to 1. Moving from important to absolutely life-changing. Number 7. Eating 3 large meals a day. This one sounds perfectly innocent. 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's what your mother raised you on, what every nutrition leaflet still prints, and what most of us have practiced our whole lives. But here's what those leaflets leave out. After 65, your digestive system slows down considerably. Stomach acid production falls by close to 40%. Enzyme output drops. Your gut simply can't pull nutrients out of large volumes of food the way it used to. So when you sit down to that heaping dinner plate, your body isn't handling it the way it did at 40. Researchers studying longevity at the University of Southern California found that older adults who switched to 4 or 5 smaller, nutrient-rich meals spread evenly across the day, showed a 34% improvement in protein synthesis and a 28% drop in inflammation markers in just 12 weeks. Picture your digestive system after 70 as a smaller engine. It doesn't need less fuel. It needs that fuel delivered in smaller, more frequent portions so it can actually burn it well. I once cared for a patient I'll call Margaret, 74 years old, who came to me worn out and bloated after every meal, certain something was terribly wrong. When I looked at her eating pattern, she was having 1 modest breakfast and then 1 enormous dinner, which happens to be among the hardest routines on an aging body. We reshaped her days into 5 smaller portions, each rich in protein and healthy fats. Within 2 months, her energy was transformed. She told me she felt like she'd been handed 10 years back. Putting this into practice is simple. Aim to eat every 3 to 4 hours. Try to get at least 25 to 30 grams of protein into each meal, because after 70, your muscles respond less readily to protein, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance, and you actually need more protein per pound of body weight than you did in your 30s. Add a little healthy fat to each meal, such as olive oil or avocado, which helps you absorb the fat-soluble vitamins your bones and immune system depend on. Number 6. Taking long, hot showers every day. I can already sense the pushback on this one, and I get it. But stick with me, because once you understand what a hot shower does to your skin and your circulation after 65, you'll never see it quite the same way again. As we age, our skin makes far less natural oil. The glands that produce it slow down. The skin's protective barrier grows thinner and more delicate. Hot water, especially over a long stretch, strips away what oil remains and triggers what dermatologists call transepidermal water loss. In plain language, it dries your skin out from the inside. A study by dermatologists at Johns Hopkins found that adults over 65 who took daily hot showers longer than 10 minutes had a 52% higher rate of chronic dry skin and a noticeably weakened protective barrier. But here's the part that worries me most as a physician. Hot water widens your blood vessels quickly, which can cause a sudden drop in blood pressure. After 70, your heart and vessels are slower to respond to those abrupt shifts. This is one of the most underappreciated causes of dizziness and falls in the bathroom among older adults, and the bathroom is already the single most dangerous room in the home for people over 65. The fix is easy. Turn the temperature down from hot to comfortably warm. Keep your showers to 8 minutes or under. Smooth on a ceramide-rich moisturizer right afterward, while your skin is still a little damp, and consider finishing with 30 seconds of cool water. A practice called contrast hydrotherapy, which research from the University of Oregon links to better vascular tone and less fatigue in older adults. Number 5. Avoiding strength training because of joint pain. This is one of the most damaging myths I run into, and it's quietly robbing people of years of independence. The idea that sore knees or aching hips mean you should rest and steer clear of exercise sounds reasonable, but the science says the opposite. Your muscles and your joints are partners. When muscles weaken, they put more strain on your joints, not less. Skipping strength work after 65 speeds up sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle. After 70, the body can shed up to 3% of its muscle every year without active resistance training. By 80, many inactive seniors have lost 30 to 40% of the muscle they carried at 50. That muscle is what holds you upright, keeps you from falling, drives your metabolism, and helps keep your bones dense. A landmark study from Tufts University followed adults between 72 and 98 who did progressive strength training twice a week. After just 10 weeks, they showed an average 113% gain in strength, better balance, quicker walking, and in several cases, less joint pain rather than more. The researchers concluded that frailty, not age itself, was the real culprit, and frailty can be reversed. I worked with a gentleman I'll call Harold, 81, who was convinced his body was giving out. He'd stopped walking more than a block because his knees hurt so much. We started him on a simple seated program using light resistance bands, just twice a week, 20 minutes a session. 4 months later, Harold was walking a mile every morning. He told me he hadn't felt that free in 15 years. Begin with seated exercises using light bands or your own body weight. Focus on the big muscle groups, your thighs, your glutes, your back. And here's a key tip. Eat a protein-rich meal within 30 minutes of finishing. That window right after exercise is when your muscles soak up amino acids best. And for anyone dealing with anabolic resistance, the timing isn't optional. It's essential. Number 4. Relying entirely on reading glasses and skipping vision training. Here's something most eye doctors never mention. Your vision, much like your muscles, responds to training. The lens of your eye and the tiny ciliary muscles that control it weaken with age, a condition called presbyopia, which is simply the medical name for age-related loss of near vision. Most people accept it, reach for progressively stronger reading glasses, and assume the decline is set in stone. but those ciliary muscles are still muscles. Research published in scientific reports by a team at the University of California, Riverside, found that just 30 minutes a day of near and far focusing exercises, paired with enough lutein and zeaxanthin in the diet, produced measurable gains in reading speed and visual clarity in adults over 60 within a matter of weeks. This won't replace your glasses, but it can slow the slide and reduce how much you lean on them over time. Beyond the lens, your brain's visual processing slows with age too. After 70, your contrast sensitivity, your ability to tell an object apart from its background in dim light, can drop by as much as 27%. That's one of the main reasons falls happen in poorly lit spaces. Training your eyes daily, getting enough zinc and vitamin A, and brightening up the lighting in your home are all evidence-based steps that most older adults are simply never told about. If this channel has ever handed you something your own doctor forgot to mention, please tap the like button right now and subscribe if you haven't yet. It truly helps us reach more people who need this, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Number 3. Sleeping more than 9 hours, or leaning on sleep aids regularly. This one catches people off guard, because we all know sleep heals, and it does. But the link between sleep and aging is far more layered than most realize, and getting it wrong is quietly harming the brains of millions of older adults. A large study from Harvard Medical School that followed over 14,000 people across 8 years found that seniors who routinely slept more than 9 hours a night carried a 46% higher risk of cognitive decline than those who slept 7 to 8. This isn't because sleep is bad for you, it's because chronically long sleep is often a red flag for poor sleep quality, rather than truly restful rest. And that low-quality sleep, broken into fragments with too little deep sleep, fails to flush out the waste products that build up in the brain each day. Your brain has an actual cleaning system, called the glymphatic system. Think of it as a nighttime cleanup crew that washes through, clearing away debris, including the amyloid plaques tied to Alzheimer's disease. But this system only works well during deep sleep, and it's most active in the first 6 to 7 hours. Lying in bed for 9 or 10 hours often just means hours of fragmented light sleep that produce none of that vital cleaning. As for sleep aids, especially over-the-counter products built on antihistamines like diphenhydramine, the research is genuinely concerning. A study in JAMA Internal Medicine found a meaningful connection between regular use of these medications and increased dementia risk. They cross into the brain, lower acetylcholine, the key messenger for memory, and with repeated use can cause lasting shifts in brain chemistry. I had a patient I'll call Dorothy, 78, who was sleeping 10 hours a night and still waking exhausted. She'd been taking a common sleep aid for 3 years. When we ran cognitive tests, her scores had been quietly slipping. We carefully weaned her off the medication, set a firm 7-hour sleep window, added magnesium glycinate at bedtime, and improved her sleep environment. Within 4 months, her scores had climbed, and she told me the fog she'd lived in for years was finally lifting. If sleep is a battle, start with consistent bed and wake times every single day. Keep your room cool, somewhere between 65 and 67 degrees. Put the screens away 60 minutes before bed. Take 200 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate about 30 minutes before sleep, and pair it with chamomile or passion flower tea for a gentle, natural boost to GABA, your brain's calming messenger, without the dangerous side effects. Number 2. Drinking less water because you feel less thirsty. This may be the most overlooked health crisis facing older adults today, and what makes it so dangerous is precisely that it's invisible. You don't feel it happening. Here's the biology. As we age, the hypothalamus, the part of the brain that governs thirst, becomes steadily less sensitive. By 70, most adults have a badly blunted thirst signal, which means you can be clinically dehydrated and feel completely fine. A study in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that up to 40% of older adults living independently, over 70, are chronically mildly dehydrated and have no idea. Even that mild, ongoing dehydration is linked to a 30% rise in urinary tract infections, a leading cause of sudden confusion and hospitalization in the elderly. It raises the risk of kidney stones, of constipation, and of medications concentrating too much in the blood, since many common drugs are water-soluble and depend on proper hydration to stay at safe levels. Research from King's College London found that even 1 to 2% dehydration, too slight to notice, measurably reduces short-term memory, focus, and reaction time in older adults. For most seniors, the target is 6 to 8 cups of water a day, sipped steadily rather than gulped all at once. Keep a 32-ounce water bottle in plain sight and commit to finishing it twice before the day is done. Add a small pinch of Himalayan salt or a sugar-free electrolyte to 1 glass daily to help your cells absorb it. And lean on hydrating foods like cucumber, watermelon, and leafy greens, which carry structured water that your body takes in more efficiently than plain water alone. And now, the moment I promised you. Number 1. The single thing nearly every older adult does each morning that quietly erodes their health, their brain, and their independence. That thing is sitting down within 30 minutes of waking up. I know you didn't see that coming. Here's what the science shows, and it's genuinely striking. The human body has what researchers call the cortisol awakening response. In the first 30 to 45 minutes after you wake, cortisol, your main hormone for alertness and stress, surges naturally by 50 to 100% above baseline. This is your body's built-in alarm clock, preparing your heart, your brain, and your muscles for the day ahead. For older adults, this window is one of the most powerful biological events of the entire day. When you sit down right after waking, whether in a chair with your coffee, at the breakfast table, or on the couch in front of the television, you're signaling to your body that the day's physical demands are already behind you. Research from the University of Queensland, published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, examined the activity patterns of more than 5,000 adults over 65 and found that those who stayed sedentary in the first hour after waking had significantly higher rates of metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular events, and cognitive decline over a 5-year follow-up, no matter how much they exercised later on. That morning burst of cortisol is anti-inflammatory. It eases joint stiffness. It clears out the leftover inflammation from sleep and primes your muscles to move. When you sit still through that window, the cortisol circulates without doing its job, and cortisol that's chronically wasted this way is directly tied to more visceral fat, bone loss, and a weaker immune system. On top of that, research from McMaster University showed that light activity right after waking raised muscle protein synthesis across the entire day in adults over 65, even when the morning movement was gentle and brief. We're talking about a 10-minute slow walk, some light stretching, simple standing exercises, gentle movement that wakes the body the way it was designed to wake. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Robert, 77, retired for 12 years. He'd fallen into a deeply worn routine. Wake up, pour the coffee, sink into the recliner, watch an hour of morning news. He told me he had no energy. His joints ached for the first 2 hours of every day. He felt mentally foggy until early afternoon. His blood work showed elevated inflammation, pre-diabetic glucose, and low testosterone for his age. We made one change. Just one. For 21 days, Robert committed to a 10-minute walk outside within 15 minutes of waking, before the coffee, before the chair, before the television. Then he'd come back in, have his breakfast, have his coffee, and do whatever he pleased. Within 3 weeks, he called my office, and I'll never forget his words. He said, "Dr. Adams, I feel like someone switched a light back on inside me." His morning stiffness had eased dramatically. His midday energy had lifted. His fasting glucose had come down. One change, 10 minutes, 21 days. The synergy here is natural light. The instant you step outside or stand at a bright window during that morning movement, you trigger a release of serotonin timed perfectly with your cortisol awakening response. That combination sets your body clock for the whole day, improves your melatonin at night, steadies your mood, and has been shown across multiple studies to lower the risk of seasonal depression in older adults. Morning movement paired with morning light is one of the most powerful, side-effect-free tools in all of longevity medicine, and almost no one is talking about it. All the studies I've mentioned today are linked in the description below, and I encourage you to read them for yourself. Now let me bring this home, because this was never really about biology and statistics. This is about your life. This is about whether you spend the coming decade watching it slip past from a chair, or whether you're present, capable, independent, and truly alive in every room you walk into. I've watched patients in their late 80s turn around conditions their previous doctors had called permanent. I've watched people who could barely cross a parking lot become daily walkers within months. I've watched mental clarity return to people who had begun to fear their own minds. And in every single case, the turning point wasn't a medication, or a surgery, or a miracle. It was information. The right information, applied consistently. You have that information now. 7 changes that cost nothing, require no prescription, and can start today. Your body is not betraying you. It's responding to what you give it. Change what you give it, and you'll be amazed at what this remarkable body of yours is still capable of doing. If this video reached you at just the right moment, if something here spoke to where you are in your life right now, please share it with someone you love who needs to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, consider this your invitation. We publish new, research-backed content every week, built specifically for adults over 60 who refuse to accept that decline is inevitable, because it isn't. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join a community of people choosing to live fully at every age. This is Dr. Rosy Adams, and I'll see you in the next one. Take good care of yourselves.